Hello, my name is Elian Gomez, and today I'm going to talk about DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. And you probably have heard of this one before, but I'm going to share my slides and I'm going to explain a little bit more about it so that you have it very clear. And DBT started in the 80s, and it was a little branch that came out of CBT. So I'm going to start. This is my overview for today. I'm going to start with the origins and the basic elements. Then we'll talk about some disorders can be treated with DBT and strategies used by the DBT therapist, as well as therapeutic settings and stage of treatment. Let's start with the origin. I already said that it started from CBT. So CBT is a bigger kind of umbrella term for many different types of therapies that include cognitive and behavioral elements. One of them is DBT. It started in the 80s when they realized that there was sometimes issues between the perspective of the clients on change and acceptance. And that you wanted to just change things, sometimes you wanted to accept what you were. And in that sense, the idea of dialectical comes from uniting these two elements, change and acceptance, to manage yourself. And there are four main constituents that are the skills that you have to train on: emotional regulation, acceptance, stress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness. And let's see. So DBT can be used. It was originally used for borderline personality disorders, and now it can be used also for eating disorders and substance use disorders, as well as PTSD. And it has increased the possibilities of many people to understand themselves, and through this awareness also be able to deal with their problems. Not only the ones that I'm mentioning, but these ones are the main ones. As I said before, these main strategies are very important. They constitute like the basis of DBT. And we want to have these practices: mindfulness, stress tolerance, emotional regulation, and interpersonal effectiveness, in order to have a very healthy mental life. And of course, this will increase your well-being, And we work through a wise mind once you are training on these skills. So mindfulness is like being able to be present in the moment, and this will encourage greater understanding of your emotions and yourself. Then the interpersonal effectiveness is mostly focused on the relationship that you establish with others and how to be more assertive. And sometimes you need to train in this. Maybe you have been having all these difficulties, and if you train yourself to be more assertive in your relationships, that'll help you to manage them, or your clients' emotions, interpersonal relationships. Then emotion regulation. Emotion regulation is based on the idea that if you learn the skills to, first of all, recognize your emotions, and then find out when you're having a dysfunctional emotional regulation in response to a situation, like let's say that your son didn't do the homework, so you start shouting and getting super angry, and then he gets disturbed by it. He doesn't understand why you're shouting so much, and then you realize that you're making him not want to talk to you, not want to do the homework, because he's just becoming too distressed about your emotions. But then you need to learn how to regulate your emotions to be able to have a good interpersonal relationship, and of course also be able to tolerate distress. So that's the next skill that you have to train: distress tolerance. And this is because, let's say that I was explaining the case of someone that I was shouting. Perhaps that person is shouting because there's a reason behind it, and the reason could be that she lost her job that week, and then she's very distressed. She cannot control her impulses. She has very impulsive behavior, and then in that sense, this can affect her relationship and other areas of her life. So being able to train in all these four aspects would be the way to have a healthier life, and that's what DBT is about. Then, of course, you can work with your clients in different settings. The main therapeutic settings are in the groups. So you can work in skill groups to help people learn all these skills that we just mentioned. You can work individually in a private section, or maybe in hospital and an institution that offers individual therapy. You could sometimes work coaching people by phone, and sometimes you need to make meetings to have like a DBT team consultation session, so that if there's anything that you're not sure, or work together with a team that will help you to train yourself into DBT. Then once we talk about the treatment, we should talk about the stages. So maybe you remember Tuckman's stages, and storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, or core inquiry, where they said that there's a pre-treatment, initial, etc. But we're going to have, well, DBT has its own stages. There are 5 stages here. They're only shown 4, so I'm going to explain one more later. So the first one is pre-treatment, and this one, it's a time when you're just working on a specific goals. For example, first of all, of course, identify the goals of the client, and then enhance the motivation and commitment so that the client wants to come to the sessions and start working on the problems that they have. And usually that is done with individual DBT, and you could work also with your consultation team. And then the stage 1 is the time of commitment, safety, and stability. So it's a very important stage. Of course, they are all important, and there are different targets. If there is any life-threatening behavior, for example, someone that wants to commit suicide and it's really going through a phase of possibility of getting closer to it, then of course this is an urgency situation. You need to work on that. If there's any serious therapy interfering behaviors, then you also should target them and change them. And of course, in the case of severe quality of life interfering behaviors, which are a little bit less, so there's 3 levels of behaviors that could be less threatening, from life-threatening, serious to severe. You have to work on those ones in stage 1. And then the interventions depends on the number of people that you work with. It could be individual or group skills training. You can do phone coaching if necessary, or work with additional services. And of course, all the time, the consultation team is important to keep it. Then in the stage 2, there's a symptom reduction goal, and the main target is to work with trauma, PTSD, eating disorders, anxiety disorders, mood disorders, and all the specific mental disorders that your clients show. Of course, each client might have different things, and of course, not necessarily all of them the same. And you could do interventions of the same type: individual, group, skill training, phone coaching, work in additional services, and keep your consultation team. And this is the main goal, is the symptom reduction stage 3. And then in stage 3, it's focused on emotional regulation, and you could work with acceptance and change. It's called REACH, and this idea is to help people that have low self-esteem, that need to work in their relationships, difficulties in relationship, and also any other problem that they have, and perhaps work also on the level of the adequate lifestyle and quality of life. And these interventions usually only done at the group level, and keep your consultation team, and there could be additional services. And then, so in summary, before I move on, the pre-treatment stage is the time when you set the goals. In stage 1, you move to gain control of your behavior, or the behavior of the client. Stage 2, you work on full experiencing emotion, because there's a lot of things happening, and the client started realizing his emotions, so it's experiencing the silver storm. In stage 3, the idea is that the focus is on building a healthy lifestyle and developing self-reliance, because that's very, very important. And then in stage 4, you seek deeper meaning through spiritual fulfillment, or maybe through work on living from a sense of, I think, competence to a more connected perspective with a greater whole. Live that. And that's it for DBT. If you have any questions, let me know. I think it's a very interesting branch of cognitive behavioral therapy. And it just started in the 80s. So it's quite new. You might be able to learn more from it if you want to go deeper, let me know. If not, good luck with your